cannot be talking about digitalizing without understanding, if you like, where we are in terms of account holders. How many people within the continent actually have an account, actually interact with either insurance companies or banks? And if you look at where Africa is, you get a sense how it compares or how it shares with other parts of the world. So if you look up with the light blue, that's about 0.19% of the population. Globally, 69% of the global population adults have an account. If you then go, if you edge a little bit closer down, you see that 20 to 39% of the population have an account. And that is probably, if you look at the Africa map, that is probably where majority of Africa sits, where we have less than 40% of the population having an account. That's quite telling. If you then compare that to other parts of the world where you have shaded green, I beg your pardon, blue, you get a sense that 64, 65, up to 90% in some cases of the population have an account. So in Africa, you're looking at Southern Africa, edging towards South Africa, Namibia. So you go up to Mauritius. Then if you look at some parts of Eastern Africa, Kenya is doing relatively well, but we'll look at that. Ethiopia is an interesting case. Ethiopia is very much at the bottom of the ranks, if you like. If you then look at what I call mobile money, because you have people that have traditional accounts, but increasingly over the last 10, 15 years, due to globalization, but more importantly, technology, what you're finding is that Africa has almost, in many cases, overtaken the rest of the world in terms of mobile account holders. So average across the world is 11% growth year on year. But in Africa, we're doing 12.5% growth year on year in terms of people that have mobile accounts. And of course, one can understand why. In terms of mobile penetration, in terms of mobile consumption, if you like, Africa, more than the rest of the world, consumed mobile telecommunication faster or more than any other country, than any other continent. And the reason is quite very, very self-explanatory. Unlike other parts of the world, in terms of what I call the landline or the traditional telephone as we know it, was very, very much limited in Africa. So with the explosion of telecommunication, telemobile communication, of course, Africa jumped on it. But also we are the youngest continent, if you like, meaning that majority of African population are probably we come within what I call the digital population. Just to put that into context, on average, the average age in the continent is about 19.2 years old. Globally, it's 26.9 years old. In Europe, Europe is an aging population. It's 42.8 years old. So you would expect that more population here probably will be consuming mobile, if you like, telephony services. But in terms of accounting, what is interesting, what I have found, is that although there are many account holders who have mobile accounts or whatsoever, but you have to put into context how many of such accounts are actually active, if you like, in terms of their utility value or utility ratio.